Looks like we're ready. Hello everybody. Looks like we are good to go. Just make sure that my settings are good. Good to go. Alright, settings are good to go. Just double check to make sure I can hear myself on the stream, and let's do this thing. So, welcome to How to Design a Yard Sign, the Bandit sign design tips regarding the 100 signs for $99 by UZ Marketing. Appreciate you guys for watching. If you're watching this at a later date, I have the basic bullet points to the video in the description, and I will add timestamps, so depending on what industry you were trying to design for, you will have an easy way to navigate to that section. So I want to go over the best Bandit sign design tips and best practices. So as you may know, designing a lawn sign doesn't need to be complicated. Luckily, you don't even need to be a designer. As long as you have a computer and like 10 minutes of your time, you can design a really good Bandit sign without even hiring a designer. So first, you would need to navigate to the yard sign page on the website, which is materials.uzmarketing.com/en/custom-yard-signs. But of course, you could just go to uzmarketing.com/signs, and it'll take you to this page. And in order to get to the design studio, we just have to go forward with the ordering process as if we were ordering something. So let's say, for instance, we want to work with a 18 by 24. So I would just select 18 by 24 in the drop down, and all these other options, depending on if I'm designing for use later or if I'm designing for an order that I'm placing now, I can either select the options that I want to do now ahead of time and then go into the design studio by hitting next, and then upload file and design online. So now we have entered into the design studio, and we have the tool tips and the guidelines, but I'm just going to skip through that because that's what we're here on this video for. So I'm starting with a fresh blank slate, and what I'm going to do is basically show a couple different things, tips, tricks, and a couple different things about yard sign designs. So when making a yard sign, we want to keep it maybe 3-4 lines at maximum. And in certain instances, we would find ourselves with a way to use 5 lines of text, but a lot of the times it's not really beneficial to go over this quantity, because at that point, you're flooding the user's view with so many different things that you only have like 3 seconds. You have between 1 and 3 seconds to get the viewer's attention. And if you have too much information on your sign, you totally lose that information. You lose that customer, and it actually does a disservice, because subconsciously what happens to a customer is if there's too much information, their subconscious will just reject it, and that yard sign has become a waste. Luckily, we have these tips and tricks, so we make sure that we don't have any wastage going on. So I'll just make 5 lines, okay? So I've got 5 lines, and we're going to do super basic yard sign design tips. And the first and foremost tip is 4 to 5 lines maximum. Preferably try to keep it under 4, like maybe 3. 3 is the best, which is 2 lines of text and then 1 line for the contact information. That is by far the best way you can use a Bandit sign. Now, if you're using this as a yard sign, it's going to be a little bit different. You actually have a little bit more flexibility on how much information you can put on there, but for the most part, if it's going to be a Bandit sign or even a lawn sign, in a lot of cases, you keep it even shorter, like 3 lines. Okay, so for instance, let's pretend that we are in, let's say, our business, right? We offer 100 signs for $99 special, right? So we want to avoid putting so many words on there, and the way that we do that is 100 signs. This is going to be the catch, the tagline. This is what's going to catch their attention. If they're going to be interested, this is what we want them to pay attention to. If they are interested, they will read further. So Arial Black is by far my favorite font, and it's a lot of our customers' favorite font too, because you have it's very bold and it speaks very loudly and it calls their attention. Okay, 300 font size might be a little too big. So what I'm doing is I'm selecting this this text element, and then you can edit the font size in this little dialog box, basically is what it is. It's a prompt that lets you adjust things like the font style, the alignment, justification. This is basically taking up the entire width of the space, so this isn't going to really matter. We can do alignment of the, like on the canvas too. So if we do the right align on the canvas, it'll go to the right. If we do a left align on the canvas, it'll go to the left. Center is center. And this is a very useful tips and tricks section because you're going to want to make sure you utilize these as much as possible. If you want to center something all the way into the middle of the canvas, you can hit that little button. So we'll put this over the top, center it, and then we'll go to the next one. So if they're interested in 100 signs, they're going to read further. If that catches their attention, they'll go to the next step, which is to look at the next line, which is pricing. So we have this at 280. We'll keep this also at 280. So also change it to Arial Black. Center it. You know, we can actually get even more creative with a little bit bigger font size, and if we want to change the font style, we can too. But we'll hold off on that for now. So we'll do the same thing with this one, Arial Black, 280. We might have to reduce this font size because I foresee it being too big for the phone number. But we'll figure that out as we go through it. 832-598-7226. Yeah. It's a slightly too big, so we're going to have to adjust this a little bit. 250, even 250 is too big. 235 is too big. 220. Okay, so 220 works, but we can make it a little bit bigger too. So let's try 225. And we could probably squeeze an extra 1 pixel out of it. So let's do 226. Oops. 226. Okay. So if this was an advertisement for our company, this would be like 80% close to what I would like it to be. The only thing that I would change is I would make this maybe a little bit bigger. And if we're talking about one color designs, it's perfect because this is the cheapest this is the cheapest type of sign that you can get, one color. All right. This is how we stretch all that content to fit the entire canvas. Now, I always recommend this to every single person. If you're designing a yard sign and if you're trying to keep it cost effective and make it one color, always try to use a differentiating feature by making the background of one of the lines, preferably the contact information, a reverse color, where you have the background of it black. In this instance, the background would be black and the text would be white. So anytime you create a shape, let me do that again because this is important to note. Anytime you create a shape, it's going to have a border. So in order to take out the border, you just hit the no stroke button. Alright, so now I'm going to send this to the back. And you can watch what this happens is I'm going to make the background black. And of course we have some content above it. And it's in the same color, so we'll just reverse that color to white. Now this is a way to take advantage of psychology, like color psychology. And it almost fools the viewer into thinking it's two colors. Or it fools your eyes into thinking it's two colors. But you're really only paying for one color. And it separates the content. So we can do the same thing with the top. So we can have black outline in the back and then white text. Remove the stroke, fill it black, Okay, and we have to send it to the back. So what happens is they're layered. Like if you're looking at it in a three-dimensional perspective, it's actually one item is on top of the other. So you have to kind of mess with the layers and send this layer to the back since it's a background layer. So you hit the button that says send to back, and it brings that content, the text content, to the front. You see? Anytime I move something, I always want to center it because it's something that everybody intuitively can pick up on if it's not centered. So I've just subconsciously gotten into the habit. Anytime I move something, I just center it just to be sure. So $100 signs for $99, 832-598-7226. Now this is one of the best tips that I can have is keep it one color. If you can keep it in one color, great. You'll save a lot more money because the cost of doing one color signs is a lot less. And text, try to keep it 3 lines if possible. If not, then you can do 4 lines. 5 lines is acceptable in some instances, but there are times when it's not really advisable to go over 5 lines, and even 5 lines is pushing it at some point. But there are instances where it could work, and I'll show you that in just a second. So we have this content. Let's say we want to make it a different color. Let's do red. We'll make this red. And we'll make this red too. So now what we have is the same content, but it's in the red. And of course, if we're thinking about it from a perspective of making this from scratch, this is a step-by-step guide on how to make it completely from scratch. But luckily, there are some templates that you can choose from that we do have in the system. I don't know why it says no image available right now, but we have pressure washing templates that we'll get into. Here's 100 signs for $99. What we're talking about now. We have pressure washing. Almost all of these, you'll notice they have 3 lines at maximum. Very rarely do you see 4 lines. Some of them have 5 lines on them. This one is a custom template that a customer actually wanted us to make. Let's see here. So let's go with this one right here. We'll go jump straight into the pressure washing. Obviously, this one is called power washing, and this template is designed specifically for the pressure washing community, based on our experience working with those customers and basically designing enough to understand what it is that these companies do. And we were able to take those services and kind of make it into a template. And this is an extremely popular template. If it's not the most popular template, it's one of the most popular templates. And specifically because it has the company, or the type of company. Like, what does a company do? Power washing, obviously. And then it gives you the opportunity to explain what they specialize in, which is deck restoration, vinyl siding, patios, metal awnings, gazebos, fences, wood, stone, brick, etc. So in this instance, this is an example of how going over 5 lines can kind of take away from the major point of the yard sign. And if you zoom out, let's pretend like you're going really fast. You're going 40, 50 miles per hour. You're going fast, and all you see is power washing and the phone number. The way that it's set up is kind of designed to where all that sticks out is power washing and the phone number. And the rest of it, if the driver is actually slowing down, if they slow down enough to actually see it, if they're interested in power washing, then they will spend the time and look at the rest of it. If not, they'll just look away at something else. So even though this sign is made so where it has more than 5 lines, we kind of made it with the customer in mind, with the driver in mind, so that they can, it funnels their vision psychologically throughout the sign. So you can actually change the content of specializes in the deck restorations, staining and resealing, vinyl siding, patios, metal awnings, gazebos, fences, wood, stone, brick. All right, so that's one of our templates. We have another template too, a couple more templates. This one is it's our full color template, as you see right here. It's the same thing except we condensed it down to one color, which is, I believe, reflex blue. We made it into one color because this is, if the other one was the most popular template that I just showed you, this is the second most popular template. And it's so popular. We get so many people who use this on a daily basis that it's growing in popularity too. But the thing is, a lot of the times the customer is not wanting to pay a full color price for it. So we made the same thing in one color. But if you check it out here, it has the overall tips, the one color, the 4 lines maximum ideology. So we have house washing, and then the contact information is in the blue bar in the bottom. It differentiates from the top of it. And the reason that we actually added the website here.com afterwards, after we originally created this template maybe 7 months, 8 months ago, but we went back and added the website here.com because we found that there is a couple of different YouTubers, one in particular that I can think of off the top of my head. His name is Jason Guyman. He's on pressurewashhelp.com. I'm sorry, he makes a YouTube channel called Pressure Wash Help, and he actually recommends that you put your website on there as well. So after hearing about that and a couple other people mention it, we added the website because we find that a lot of pressure washing companies are wanting to add that website on there. So we just make it easy so the viewer can have a simple time. The customer can have a simple time adding the website. All right, let's start from scratch again. Let's say you want to do a pressure washing template completely from scratch and you want to customize it yourself, okay? So let's go with power washing. You know what? Let's go all caps. Okay. So align center, increase font size. And you know what we could do too? Is we could start stretching the text, but I foresee a problem right now. And the problem that I'm foreseeing is the line has too much going on. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It has 12 characters in it, plus a space, so that's actually 13 characters. So we might actually want to make this into 2 lines, if at all possible. And it does give us a little bit more flexibility by doing so, in that it allows us to increase the font size infinitely more. Oh wait, not infinitely, but you know what I'm saying. Power washing. Okay, so here's a neat little thing right here. It's called the line height tool. All this space is wasted space in my opinion. If you can make use of every inch of the canvas, then you can put every single square inch to your advantage and make you money. That's the goal of this idea. So you can actually reduce the line height, which is the space in between the lines. I like to keep it at 0.8, 0.7 is possible too if you're really trying to cram stuff in there. But remember, don't put too much stuff in your yard sign. If you're trying to cram stuff in there, make sure you have a purpose behind it. 0.8 is good because it separates the lines while still being a little bit closer together. A neat little thing, if you're working on a computer, you can actually press Control Z. Control Z does the undo function. It helps you go back if you accidentally do something wrong, like oops, messed up, Control Z. Or there's a redo button here too. So the reason I undid that is because I had the shift key pressed, but it's not stretching proportionately. So I'll just go back and stretch it like this. Okay. All right, let's say we want to do a 2-color design. We'll go for royal blue and red. And let me explain why I only put power washing on there. Because when a driver is driving by, let's say for instance, even at the stop sign, right? All that really matters is what do you do? What is the customer looking at? If they're interested, they're going to call. And if you put too much information on here, which I've seen time and time again, it's just going to work to your disadvantage. So power washing. Okay. So I'll start increasing the font size now. Arial black to 225. We have space to work with, so I'll stretch this red box a little bit further up so we have a location to put the website address. I'll just throw in pressurewashhelp.com. Shout out to Jason Guyman. Okay, so we could probably make this bold too, or nah, it stretches too much. Okay, so here's another tip that I have. Whenever putting a website address, we want to have the first letter of each word capitalized, and you don't necessarily have to put the www dot in front of it. So that means you have an extra 4 characters that you take off in order to like put those. You can make the existing letters bigger by removing the www, and by capitalizing the first letter of each word, it kind of helps to differentiate between it. If it's just all one word, all lowercase or all capitals, it just looks like one big blob. So it's very helpful if you can indicate each first letter of each word with a capital. So it's easier to tell what it is from a distance and while going fast. Okay, let's take it another step further, okay? Let's say this is going to be a lawn sign, this is going to be a yard sign. And this is going to be something that you're going to put in your customer's yard. Then we can go back to what we were doing a little bit before, using this template with this. Or we can do this one. So let's say this is going to be in a customer's yard, right? So we'll move this up top, center it, move this a little bit below that, center it. Oh, right here we have it in 2 separate lines. That's one thing that we did different than in the other one that you could see on the other side. The one with the pressure washing, I believe I put power washing in the same text box. Okay. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to start adding the services down here. I'm not in pressure washing, so forgive me if some of these don't make sense. Okay, so I put siding, concrete, roofs, and decks. And I feel like there's a lot going on here, so let's try to make it look nice. If we were to proceed with this, I wouldn't really feel confident. It looks like it's too much going on because the alignment of these 2 lines right here looks a little weird. So we can play around with the order at which we do this. Or even driveways. Okay, so I have an idea. Siding, driveways, decks. We'll put them all in one text box. And delete these other ones. Roofs, sidewalks. What else do they do? Fences. Okay, let's do fences. Center it. It's a little too big. So we're at 140 content size, text size. Center it. Still a little bit too big. Let's do 137. There might be a space at the end of this. Yeah, there is. That space was ruining the alignment. So now we're at 137 text size. It's very similar to this at 140. So there still seems to be like a little bit too much going on. So what we could do at this point is differentiate, separate these things with a line. And we can put one underneath it too. So it's like putting it in its own little section. So I'll make these a little bit closer together. So actually having everything cluttered is going to do a disservice. So we want to have it not so cluttered. What we can do is we can even reduce the size of this so we have more space to work with. Okay. Okay. I feel like it can breathe a little bit more with all of this information. All these services that the company offers is big enough to where it can be seen even while driving quickly, but it doesn't take away from the major point of the whole sign, which is house washing, and the contact information if the person is curious to find more. So that's pressure washing yard sign tips. So let's go into political sign design tips. Designing a political yard sign. So in order to scrap everything, you can press Control A on your keyboard, which means select all. And this works in a lot of different softwares too. So not just our software, but Control A selects all. It's a neat little tip to keep with you in your life as you use computers. So Control A and then delete everything. And let's say you're just not happy with your design at all. You can use that trick and it's like, I want to start over. Okay, so with political yard signs, we have to go at it a couple different ways. The word elect or vote has to be relatively big so the audience knows that you're asking them to vote or elect a person. If you put, let's say, let me go with some ego right now, Karthik Ramaswamy. President. If I were to do this, then it's actually against the bylaws of yard signs, because this may mislead somebody and a voter into thinking that Karthik Ramaswamy is already the president. So you have to indicate in large enough letters whether you want them to vote or re-elect for this position, and you also have to put the word "for" in there. So I don't know about nationwide, but I do know in Texas that is the rule. And also in Texas, there is a rule about having a disclaimer on the bottom that says it is not legal to put it in a right-of-way of a highway. So that disclaimer is required in Texas. And I don't know about other states, but there are other jurisdictions that require different rules as well. So we can go straight into the templates. And we have it under political. So we have a couple different things. We have multiple, they're all like 2 colors. That's the thing. We have a bunch of 2-color designs, and we find that 2 colors is really perfect for elections. It just works. It works because that's what represents politicians. But we can take it a step further, and you know what? If you've ever been to a polling office or a polling location and seen 100,000 different yard signs over there, you're just going to get lost in a sea of red, white, and blue. It is what it is. Every election season I see that, a whole bunch of red, white, and blue. So we can take it and make it a little bit different by changing up the color scheme a little bit. So we have this, right? It has basically the fundamentals of what we need on there, but we have to change it up a little bit. So instead of election, I'm going to put vote. You know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to reduce that size because it gives me greater flexibility of changing things if I want. So if I want to put that in the middle instead, and then put this all the way in the left, I can do that as well. And you know what? You can actually make 2 of them by hitting Control C and then Control V, or by hitting the copy and paste button. But Control V is paste, Control C is copy. So I'm going to make a couple of those. Okay. John Smith You can even make this a little bit bigger too, because we're working with very little bit of content. I mean, the letters are so short, so you can make the letters even bigger. That name can really stand out. Okay. 4. It's a neat little trick that I learned what I'm doing right now in design. You can actually put the word for on top of both the blue and the red. So it's like, it's possible, but it doesn't really work in this situation, so I'm not going to do that. Plus, the word for doesn't have to be this big. The thing with the rule about having the words big enough, if you have vote really big, then you don't have to have for as big as well. It's basically like a psychology thing. You just want to make sure that the rules of the sign making the community, like the people who set the laws on political signs, you either have to have the word vote or elect in big, or you have to have the word for in big. So that way it communicates to the person looking at it that this person is running for this position, or you're voting them for this position. You can play with the fonts a little bit. A lot of the times I think standard Arial black works in a lot of situations. This one actually works for political too. The script MT bold. So now let's put this position. I don't know what the position actually is, so if you're a political candidate, just forgive me for not knowing the positions. School board, precinct 3. I don't even think that's how it works. It's not precinct 3 for a school board, but whatever, we'll run with it. vote John Smith for school board precinct 3. And then, oh yeah, you know what else is on a political sign? Is a tagline. For your peace of mind. Education for your peace of mind. This is just something I'm coming up with on the spot. It's not a tagline I recommend because it doesn't even make sense. Okay, so this is done in 2 colors, right? Let me just actually make this consistent. This is in a Noto serif font, so I will make this also in Noto serif. And maybe I'll make it a little bit smaller too, because this is not the primary feature of the sign. Okay, so I'll keep it at 90 because the person's name and the position is super important. It's like that's the most important thing. That's the whole reason of having a political sign in the first place, is to vote somebody for a specific position. So that's one way of making this political sign. Oh, you know what? We're in Texas, so I have to put the disclaimer. There I go, almost forgetting. I don't know if you know if you can see what I'm doing is I'm basically taking the space that I already have existing, scrunching some of this stuff up, expanding the blue bar so I can actually create additional space that kind of wasn't there before, but it was. I'm just like rearranging things. So I have to find oh, I think I found it. I have to find the election chapter thing. Okay, so this is what it is. Okay, so according to Texas state law, this requirement is on political advertising sign. The following notice must be written on each political advertising sign. Notice, it is a violation of state laws, chapters 392 and 393, Transportation Code, to place the sign in the right-of-way of a highway. So this is absolutely required if you're in the state of Texas to have on a yard sign. Luckily, it doesn't have to be giant or even prominent at all. It just has to be there. Okay. There we go. So make sure that no font is under 21 point. 21 point is like a sweet spot. If you go under 21, it's going to be really hard to print on it and doesn't look right. So in this instance, this is something we don't want on the yard sign at all, but according to state law, we have to have it. So it's better to have it as small as possible and hidden away from sight. That way it doesn't bring to the attention something that we have to cram into there. So let's see if we can put it in one line. Yeah, we can. If it's font size 21, we can put it into one line. And you know what? We can squeeze it into the absolute bottom. So we take advantage of all the space that we have. Okay, cool. All right, so this is political sign number 1. And this is this was made from a template that we have. I'll do another template too. So the one we just did was 2 colors, red and blue. This one is full color because it has a graphic in the background. It may look like 2 colors, but it's actually full color because of the way that the graphic is. Let's see if we can zoom in on it. Yeah, this is a full color image because you see like elements of different colors on there. Cyan, magenta, yellow, and black would be required in order to recreate all of these colors. So this would be a full color sign. Some jurisdictions might actually be able to use this because they may not have the rules for whatever the political sign disclaimer. And this is so simple and to the point. And this is pretty consistent with political sign design specs, but also it stands out from the rest because it's not like your typical red, white, and blue. I mean, it still has a red, white, and blue and the flag, which makes it obvious that it is a campaign sign and somebody is running for mayor, but it's so different from the other ones because if you look at the campaign locations I mentioned earlier, they all look the same. Every single person's yard sign looks red, white, and blue. So this is a way to get a little bit of variety in the yard sign. We'll go to a different one. Let's see, which one should we do? I think this one, the Campaign 101. Let me see if this is what I'm thinking it is. Yeah, so this one is one of the simplest templates that we have. You can't move anything because it's so simple. You can use it on a phone. You can just type in the words here. Vote. Update preview. And then Michael Jackson. Update preview. So basically it lets you do it. It's so phone friendly. And it's so easy to mess with this, but basically the only thing is you don't have the freedom of changing too much around on the yard sign. So I actually don't want to use this. I think I might have to go back. Okay. Just so you know, that is an option for the political sign design, in case you were curious. Or in case you want to do it on the phone and you're ready to just push that through. Which one was I thinking of? I think it might have been this one. Okay, this one's a really popular one as well. So it has all that basic stuff, the name, the last name in huge letters, so it's more prevalent. If this was for me, I'll show how I would do my name. I have a unique last name and it's really big, so I have to be, and so my first name is long too, so I have to be very particular in how I conduct my yard signs. So other people with long names might relate to this as well. So what I've seen people do is, instead of having that giant name, they condense it, or they have the moniker that they go by, or in this instance Karthik is shorter, so I can say, I can put that. I can have my first name bigger and I can have that as a primary focus, and then kind of reduce the emphasis on this. You can reduce the emphasis on the last name and keep it first name basis, so it's easier for the viewer to tell. Okay, and I can increase the size of the stars because we got a bunch of empty space that we want to find something to do with them. Okay, so I have two stars. One star is smaller than the other. So I'll copy and paste this. Oops. I'll paste it. And I'll delete these two. Okay. You know what? I can even extend this. Actually, no, I'll leave it this size. Arvo font. Let me see. Can compare the two and see what it looks like stretched. Nah, it's not that great. Okay, so we'll reserve the top for the name. And then we'll have the middle that says 4. We can even reduce the size of these boxes. And we'll make this a color that people don't normally have. Let's make this sign unique. Nobody uses a purple yard sign. I mean, I've seen it a couple times. I've actually done a yard sign design for a customer in purple maybe 2 years ago, and they loved it because it stood out from everybody else in the area. So this is a unique color that you can use. There's also a bunch of other colors too, but we'll stick with purple for now. Let's do one color yard sign for maximum cost effectiveness. Let's say, for instance, I'm a campaigner and I'm running for office with no campaign donations, only my own money. Then one color is probably going to be the way that I would go so that I can save the most money. Yard signs and other print material, they can tend to be the majority of the campaigner's costs. So being able to save money on printed materials is excellent, and that's what we strive to do too. Is we strive to have the best prices on yard signs and other printed materials so that political candidates and business owners as well can spend their resources doing what they do best, which is doing their business, growing their business. So if our prices on yard signs and door hangers and marketing is so much better, then we'll win in the long run because the customer is going to come back to us over the course of a few months or years and whatnot. So we care more about the longevity of the customers and the life cycle. Anyhow, interesting. I put this one ended up being the school board again. So here's another little disclaimer that a lot of places like to have: paid for by the committee to elect the candidate. I've seen this in Houston, and I've seen this in other cities too, but I don't know if it's important or even required in those instances, in those cities. And of course, the violation of state law, chapter whatever, 392 and 393. So let's do orange and purple, huh? Let's see if that looks okay. It's all right, but you know, I've never seen a political candidate with an orange and purple sign. So at election time, at the polling location, I don't think I've ever seen an orange and purple sign in my life. And I've been to a lot of polling locations just to scope out to see if I've seen any yard signs that we've done, that we printed for those customers. Pink and purple, or pink and green. This is a unique combination too. I've never really seen anybody use it. But the thing is, the thing with red and the thing with blue is not only is it the color of our flag, but it also represents the parties, the political parties, the Democrats and Republicans. So that's also why it's very popular to use these. Let's say, for instance, we're going with blue for Democrat. Then we want to make everything the same blue, and instead of a background in different color, we'll just make all of this, we will make this blue and all the text white. Or we could take it another way as well, and that's by deleting those layers and make these blue. So it kind of goes into what we were talking about a little bit before, which was taking advantage of using negative color space, giving it the effect of it having two colors, but it's really just one. Super cost effective political sign right here. You can't get any cheaper than a one color political sign. If you want to take it a step further, make it one-sided and position the sign in the people's lawns a very particular way. Instead of having a double-sided sign, you can just face it towards the road instead of facing both sides, and you can take that savings even to the next level. I guess I'm a little OCD about the design. Okay, so that's political campaign yard sign design. Now let's go on to the next thing. Landscaping business. Lawn care. Okay, so we have a bunch of one color ones because we know that this is by far the most practical way of, it's just like the pressure washing. We have one color yard signs because that's what our customers typically want. These are meant to be pretty much as disposable as possible, and as such we need to keep the costs as low as possible for the lawn care business owners, and by doing so the customer can actually order a lot more and get a lot more bang for their buck. So we have a bunch of different lawn care templates, and as you can see, most of them are in one color. Let's go with this one though, for instance. This is a super popular template because it has the effect of the grass in the background, but from far away you can't really tell that it's grass. So that's the thing. We'll probably end up changing this template because it's very hard to tell from far away that it's grass. But the color scheme, the way it is, the full color, I mean, it's awesome because of the contrast that it provides. If you're looking at it from far away, it's like a green and yellow-ish hint, and it's very eye-catching from a distance because of that. It's like not just a solid green. So this is a neat little vector graphic that we have for kicks and giggles. It's neat to have it on your yard sign just to give people an additional reassurance that this is a lawn care or landscaping company. And this whole template was designed in our design studio, so all of this pretty much can be moved around. Even the dots are separated so you can put them in different sections. I want to take this template and make another little addition to it. So this is a full color design, so we have to keep that in mind. Because it's a full color design, we have to treat it a little bit differently. But I have an idea. And this is, sometimes I use this, but a lot of the times it may not work. But in this instance it will. So we'll send this to the back. And then you can actually mess with the opacity. So you can actually make it like partly opaque or mostly transparent and whatnot. And that gives us a little bit more flexibility in how we design this. So we're getting another effect out of it. This is like Photoshop type effect, but on the Web to Print Designer Studio software. Let's flip-flop that actually. So this background, make it a little bit more transparent. Too much. 0.3. Okay, cool. So looking at this from a distance, it looks like it's a whole new element that was added to it, but it was so simple. Just that little shape feature and opacity feature, which I haven't really covered in this stream so far, but it's a neat little tool that you can use. But a lot of times it's hard to make use of it, because when you do, it adds a little bit of complexity to the design, and it doesn't always look good. So that's kind of why I didn't go over it. But it is an option in some instances where you have a full color background and you want to make another separation of different areas of the sign. Alright, so let's do another template. Here we go. Professional lawn care, grass cutting, landscaping, and more. I like to use the word landscaping and lawn care interchangeably, but I've seen them used in preference for one over the other. Sometimes I've seen lawn care being preferred, but landscaping is more all-encompassing and it describes the whole industry for the most part. Lawn care is a very particular aspect of the industry, in my opinion. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. Feel free to do so. So we have a bunch of little grass vectors here for the effect. And I just moved a bunch of stuff by accident. So we have this line of content. And honestly, if I was a landscaping person with this template and the other template, I honestly don't know what I would do differently because I don't know the industry very well. But based on what I've seen, I'm pretty sure that these two templates have been designed according to seeing a bunch of templates or customers what they requested. So that's how we crafted these templates. It's pretty much right out of the box, ready to go, based on what customers truly and actually ask for. So I don't know what I would do to change this. In fact, I wouldn't change anything. If I was a landscaping professional making a yard sign, I would use this straight out of the box, just the way it is. Same with the other one. There's actually an instance where we communicated with two different YouTubers. One is Chris Hathcox, and the other one is Sean Spencer. And both of them have created a template on our site, and they promote it to their viewers. And Chris's yard service is Chris Hathcox. Shout out to you. Thanks for all your videos and for referring customers our way. And then also Sean Spencer as well. Sean Spencer, I believe. Which one is it? I think it's this one. So this one is also really short and sweet and to the point. It doesn't have any complexity at all. This designer is pretty neat. He made use of the back of an animal. Looks like a dog or a bear or something. Made it into a landscaping effect. So neat. Shout out to Justin Lee, our graphic design lead graphic design. So here's another instance where you want to keep it short and sweet and to the point. Lawn care and a phone number. You make it so simple for the user, the viewer, the driver, to understand what it is that you do, and if they're interested, they give you a call. Plain and simple. This is a yard sign, lawn care. And if the customer is thinking, I need somebody to help me with my, let's say for instance, edging or mowing. I guess they're both one and the same. But let's say like the flower bed care. If they need flower bed care, they would be like, okay, let me call this lawn care company. Take a picture of it while they're at the stop sign, or they're walking by in the neighborhood and they see it in a customer's yard. They see this in that customer's yard, then they snap a picture of it and call them later. Because in things like lawn care and pressure washing, the work really speaks for itself. And I highly recommend, and based on my conversation with pressure washing and lawn care and pretty much any service-based industry, customers who are watching the work and see the end product and know what it was like before, if they see it as a stellar job, they're so inclined to call, especially in the same neighborhood. Like let's say for instance your neighbor had a really dirty driveway and they called a pressure washing guy to come by. It's going to be very obvious if the guy did a good job or a bad job. And if they did a good job, the neighbor is going to be like, hey, I want to get my driveway pressure washed too. And if they're too shy or don't know their neighbor, they may not go and ask, hey, where did you get it done? But the yard sign right outside the door, or not the door, the lawn, will do wonders. I've heard it time and time again that when a person gets this service done, their neighbors want that service as well, because it's like a keeping up with the Joneses psychology aspect. So there's that to consider too. But when you're doing something like roofing, even in the roofing industry, it's so cost effective to do multiple houses in the same neighborhood. Same deal with pressure washing, lawn care, pest control, anything service based. The efficiency goes through the roof when you're able to do 2 or 3 houses in the same neighborhood, because that helps you narrow down or shorten the amount of time it takes to get from one house to the next, thereby increasing the number of houses you can do in a single day, because driving is a huge downtime in these service-based industries. So that's it from me, guys. This is how to design a yard sign. We went over yard sign design tips. We went over the best practices. We went over some of the content that we want to do. Make sure you don't keep it too busy. Keep it short and sweet and to the point. And we also did political yard signs, pressure washing yard sign designs, and landscaping yard sign designs. So that's it from me. Take care. If you watched all the way this far, I appreciate you for watching. And be sure to subscribe and leave a like if you would like to. Thanks.